grateful to be here. I got introduced to this group because I felt like I was out of options. I had one full-time job and one part-time job. So I was working 60, 65 hours a week and just spinning on the rat race. Like literally after 2 years of working 60 hours a week and giving the student loan that I had $15,000, they counted all that as just interest. And so 2 years went by and I was in the exact same place as when I started, the same amount of debt, the same amount of time restrictions, the same amount of taxes. And I thought, there is no way I'm ever going to do this again. This is there. If I do another 2 years of this and it's just interest again, nothing's going to change. What a waste of a life. Has anyone out here ever had to deal with student loans? Anybody? Am I the only one on this call? Anyway, man, I was so mad at the student loan. And, I was grateful for the opportunity to go to some schooling. But at the same time, how do you pay it off? I'm making 25,000 a year. All my money's going to interest. My grandma co-signed on the student loan. So if I let it go into default, then now the collectors call her. So we can't let that happen, right? So I was thoroughly confused. What do I do? I'm working all the hours. I got a degree, but I'm still making pennies. And I remember going to a workshop because working at the auto stores, the radio's on 24/7. It's just radio is always on. And so, when the real estate circus comes to town and they say, hey, all the free tickets at the local Hilton. So I went and checked it out. Come to find out, it's just a real estate circus. It's not an actual crew of people here to hold your hand through deals. And so I got disenfranchised again, kind of lost a little hope. Like, I don't know, maybe I'll go back to school. Maybe I'll go get another degree, because if you're in school, then they pause the student loan. And that was causing the most anxiety in my life at the time. But I definitely didn't want to go back to school. I was even considering the military. They come on the radios as well, and they say, hey, come put 6 years in on the military, and we'll give you the student loan forgiveness program. So I was like, oh, well, maybe that would do it. But again, it was like, nope. I'm a lover. I'm not a fighter. Military's not going to work for me. I will serve my country. I'm grateful for the military. I'm so grateful for this country. I'm so grateful for what people do to make this thing run. But my contributions to this society and this country are not military. What can I do? And I was out to lunch. I grabbed a newspaper and we were doing the crossword puzzle. Now, this was 2010, back when newspapers existed. And we're doing the crossword puzzle, and right next to that was the real estate section, for sale by owners. Now, one thing that I didn't explain to you all was, in addition to the student loan mess, grandma co-signed, 2 jobs, no time, no car. We had also struggled to pay for a place to live. And at that time, we ended up moving into my girlfriend's mom's unfinished basement. Now, I'm in an unfinished basement right now, but we're actually at a friend's house. So, but imagine this, okay? I've been with Vanessa now 4.5, going on 5 years. I'm trying to convince her mom I'm the right guy for the family. I'm going to take care of your daughter. I promise I love her to death. Can I get a ride to work? That doesn't really roll off the tongue very easily. And anyway, I started just dealing with that embarrassment too. College graduate and all this mess, and here I am living on some lady's charity in a basement. I had to make a change. You guys know what I'm talking about? I mean, it's not just it'd be nice if there was a change. I had to make a change. In that real estate ad in the newspaper, there was a little 1-inch by 1-inch ad, and it said, real estate investor community expanding, call now. And I was like, wait a minute, there's a community of real estate investors? What does that even mean? I remember going to the workshop and they were talking about, fire your boss, become independent, but a community? I kind of like the sound of that. So I called her up. Her name was Jody. She invited me to a Renatus convention, a little Renatus conference in my area. And I showed up and I got introduced to a couple people who, and this is what makes everything different about this organization and why I think I got the results and why I could see so many other people getting results. We don't treat people the way they show up. We treat them like the potential they have. Whoa, that is so different than normal society. Normal society, they look at you, they judge the crap out of you, and then they treat you just like they judged them. Right? I'm a broke college graduate idiot working 2 jobs, no car, I'm so confused. But the trainer inside of this organization did not look at that stuff. And because of that, she started treating me like the person I could become, which made me want to try harder and stand up straighter and read more books and stop drinking and stop smoking and straighten things up in my life. And honestly, when you go and look and why are you smoking, why are you drinking, it's to pacify yourself and to pretend like you have some sort of control in what's going on in your life. So I heard the message loud and clear. The message was trade false control for actual control. Oh, that sounds like a bargain to me. Let's go. So I started showing up, started coming to the classes, started hopping on the calls when I could. Again, working 2 jobs is it's rough to work around that kind of schedule, but I made it work. And within 6 months, I got my first deal under contract. Another few months, so 9 months from when I started to when I got paid on my first deal. And after I got that check, I said goodbye to the jobs. That's 13 years ago. I haven't had a job since. Now I do work. I work hard. I make a lot of money. I also play hard. I like to contribute. I like to think and engage. I wrote a book, went on Amazon bestseller back in 2017, 2018, like that. And really, I just love being able to share with people how they could be the smartest person in the room when it comes to real estate. And so that's what's been motivating me ever since. We recently bought a property in Atlanta, but we also had 2 big commercial deals that are side by side near our Tennessee projects that we have. And so these are my 2 most recent deals. So I'm just curious what you guys would like to hear me talk about, and we can, start going through some numbers and stuff.
So Mike, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Do you still change your own oil in your car?
No, not with these hands. No.
Okay,
I
that's
have done
good.
over 35,000 oil changes when I worked at the auto shop. I am
Okay,
done.
so that's okay. You should change it up for a lifetime. I got it.
Yeah.
Because it's not that hard, but but that's awesome. So you kind of money you got is pay somebody else to do your oil change kind of money. That's great.
Absolutely. I went and bought a race car. I got a BMW X5M and we put a stage 3 dining package on it. This thing now has 715 horsepower, all-wheel drive. This thing screams down the highway. And it's like a $250 oil change now, but I don't care because it's a tax write-off.
That's awesome. But you live, but right now, like the house that you live in, because you moved from Utah, or like you were kind of driving from Colorado to Utah, doing real estate in those things as well as building the Renaissance community, and you moved to Tennessee at like how many acres is that?
So we have 11 properties, all contiguous, totaling 248 acres.
248 acres, and you have a whole life planned out. You've got small homes on them. You've got all the and or tiny houses.
Tiny houses, yep.
On it. You've got
Yep.
some like sustainable living kind of stuff going on in there too.
Right. So
You got
we're
some
building up
chickens
a
and some roosters and
a homestead permaculture eco village with a tourist attraction built inside of a real estate deal.
so that which is it's awesome. So you are I love it. I love how I interview you and I always um, applaud your success and I'm always there pushing you behind the way. So I'm really happy for you. And
Thank you.
guys, the way that Michael has become, where he came from and where he is, I can tell you he is really lucky. So lucky to get that. But I can tell you that the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I've never seen anybody work as hard as Michael Huggins. He like every meeting, he was always like an hour early, he stayed an hour late. He would go and I would just see him just going out there and just hitting. And he, just like a bright shining light, just like a fire, like a rocket, blasted out of his circumstances with as much energy and momentum and strength and vitality, defend everything. You shut through your stratosphere of what you felt like was holding you down, and you went into the space, and then and now you're just circling around, looking down looking down, and there's you've still got more places you can go, but uh you are never defined by where you came from. And that's, I'm talking you as in you who are listening to this right now. You are not defined. If you feel like that you came from a poor household, does not mean that you are going to be poor. And if you feel like you're from an immigrant household, nobody's there, things are against you, whatever, that is a lie. And you have every potential and every right to be there. All you're missing is the right tools, to be surrounded by the right people, and also the right mentors. That's all it takes. And so I'm glad that you were with the right information. So I'm glad you guys are here.
Yeah.
By the way, so we do have that question, and somebody said Atlanta. So the big question, guys, you're going to put in the chat: are we going to hear about the commercial deal that Michael Huggins has, or are you going to hear about his Atlanta a single family home deal? How he found it, funded it, what he's going to do to it, and stuff like that. So put it in the chat. What do you want to hear? Let's hear about it. Let's see what you guys got. Okay, we got Tamara for a commercial. Antoinette says Atlanta on the Atlanta market one. Come on, guys.
Okay, we need a tiebreaker. Jared says Tennessee. Oh, now it's back to a tie again. We got 2 for 2.
Got Atlanta single family. Oh, by the way, let me hear. Okay, so while you guys are here and listening and contributing, whether you put it in, by the way, go ahead. I encourage you guys to turn on your camera so we can see your beautiful faces. So we can kind of see you too. Okay, we got a third one for Atlanta. But the question I have for you, everybody on here, who is it? Either raise it virtually or raise it actually, as so we can see you. Raise your hand or say me if this is your first time coming to this meeting. We just want to see what kind of what kind of group we have.
Yeah, is this your first time coming to our Wednesday property tour? Because we have done this, between Tim and I, we've done this over 150 times. We have 150 episodes, dude.
Yeah. I feel like more than that, though, because I feel like I've been doing this since 2020, and now it's 2024.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's 52 weeks, and ultimately, between the two of us, it's probably more like 300 at least. Maybe 300.
Man.
I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot, dude. Okay, so Jose says it's his first time. Alfredo, awesome. Anybody else? Which kind of your first time? First time. Because if we have okay, Drew, Jaimila, first time. Okay, great. So let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do the is it a fix and flip, by the way? Is that what your Atlanta deal is?
It is a combination of things, actually.
Okay, and Becky, if you to invite somebody, I'll put it in the chat. Go to Team Elevate. Tell them to go to teamelevate.com or teamelevateusa.com and say, hey, just send him a link and have him click on the join house tour.
Right there, teamelevateusa.com. Click on the house tour and put your name in there, and it'll send you a Zoom link.
And then they can jump on.
Sweet.
All right, Mirna, it's her first time too. So awesome. Okay, so let's just go through like your Atlanta deal. I think that would be better because maybe a good, like, for people who are just starting, that might be good. Commercial. I mean, people could start at commercial too. It's just maybe it's a little bit more. It's like I don't know. What do you think?
I'm totally out of my comfort zone with the commercial one, but you can either be comfortable or you can be growing, and
yeah, I get you. So let's do your Atlanta then, because it looks like we got more people who voted for Atlanta by just a smidge.
Okay. All right. So when the pandy happened, I moved to my Tennessee cabin in the woods because I had spent 2019 watching all the zombie apocalypse movies. Did anyone else watch like a bunch of apocalypse movies right before the pandy? Am I the only one, or did other people 5-10 movies and you go, wait a minute, that cabin in the woods ain't sound too bad right now. So, not to mention when the pandy started, my wife was 8.5 months pregnant with our first baby, and the hospitals, the birth centers, everyone was freaking out about this virus thing. And so we didn't want to be near anybody. Get away from me, right? Everyone was, I don't know you. I mean, I love you, but I'll love you over there. Stay away. My pregnant wife, get away from me. It was not a good feeling. You were all there, so. So we got in the van. I had not been driving the van for some while. We were driving the race car, and the van's battery died. I got it jump started, took it to AutoZone, and this was right when the pandy was getting going. I left the car running in the AutoZone parking lot because the battery was dead. And right as I walk in, he goes, "Hey, what can I get you for?" And I said, "I need a battery for that thing." And as I pointed, someone stole it. So pandy's starting, my baby's pregnant, we're planning a cross-country trip, and someone just stole my van. It's a very interesting experience. Anyway, we recover it. I met a psychic cop, and she found my car halfway across Denver in a hotel parking lot. It was awesome. We recovered it. We moved to Tennessee. We had the baby. We started the homestead, bought a bunch of property, and then my wife was like, "Hey, remember how we like lived in a penthouse in Denver?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Remember how we used to like eat at restaurants and stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah." She said, "You remember when we used to like go places?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." She goes, "We never really planned on living in Tennessee. Tennessee was our business. Can you take me back to the city now?" And I had fallen in love with the country. We got our pigs, we got chickens, we got rabbits, we got ducks, we got guinea fowl. We were building our thing. But she's like, "I want to live in Atlanta." Our baby's 3.5 now, and she's like, "He's ready for school. I want to live with friends." I mean, we literally lived in the woods, guys. I had the time of my life. It was so much fun. But there are seasons to everything. So start the new chapter, and luckily there is a Renatus team already in Atlanta. So I made a few texts and some messages and said, "Hey, folks, if we decide to move down to Atlanta, who would like to start a Renatus office with us?" And a few people put their hands in the air and said, "Great, let's get to work then. Let's go out there." But I want to live here. I don't want to just visit. So my wife and I went on a house hunt and trying to make it meet all the criteria. Now knowing what my wife knows about real estate, because she came to all the classes too. I mean, she's incredibly intelligent, but I'm the loud one, so I get all the attention. But really, she's incredible, and so she's running comps, she's looking at things, she's looking at the stats and growth paths, and she's looking at, like what is this city doing and that city doing, and where can we get something in the middle of this merge? We're looking at these expansion paths and what cities are doing and plans. I'm like, this is so much more in depth than what people usually look for when they buy a house. So we felt super empowered. And so this house is in Sandy Springs, Atlanta. So it's North Atlantis, right next to the outer perimeter, for those of you who are aware. Turns out there's two worlds in Atlanta: outer perimeter, inner perimeter. And for some reason, they have a hard time crossing that line. That's the rumor, anyway. And so the neighborhood is getting rehabbed, and there are $1 million houses in the neighborhood. And there are $1.6 million houses in the next neighborhood. And so we're looking around, and we get this house under contract for $525. Now, it's on the market. Day one, there were 4 offers. 3 of them were fix and flip contractors, and one of them was us. Now, our intention was to look for a house that was run down in a fantastic neighborhood that we could live in for 2 years and get the benefits of the neighborhood, right? The opposite of the forest, get the benefits of this incredibly well-to-do neighborhood, enjoy the growth of the forest equity, and live in it for 2 years as a primary residence, sell it, not pay any tax, cash out, move back to the woods, or go buy an island, something like that. That's the plan here. By the way, guys, islands are a lot cheaper than you think. Okay, so just go, if you really want an island, go start island shopping right now and quit goofing around, quit acting like you can't. Fair enough? Cool. Okay, so I remember from one of the trainings that when you get into this multiple offer situation, to write a letter. So when the listing agent calls us back and says, "Hey, there's multiple offers. We need your highest and best." I went, "Lady, I don't waste anyone's time. That was my highest and best." And she goes, "Well, there's three other offers. What are you going to do?" I said, "Okay. You know, what are they?" And she's bound by some sort of fiduciary, so she can't tell me exactly. But she's like, "Yeah, some other fix and flippers, they want to come in and rehab it." So I went, "Ha!" And I wrote a nice little letter. "Dear Mr. Seller, my family and I have been looking for some time now to move to a nice neighborhood where we can move in. We have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and we're so excited for this neighborhood, and it just looks so beautiful, and we would sure appreciate it if you would sell us the house." 3 days later, they said, "Great news. He signed the contract. The house is yours. Let's go." Yeah! Finally. And then we also got him to drop it $8,000. So it was 517 was the final purchase price. And so we bought it for if you want to start pulling up the whiteboard and putting numbers in, or do you want me to just keep going? Or
I'm already talking. I'm already writing it down on the
Okay,
board. I
cool.
just haven't shared the screen yet. But I
Okay,
got a
cool.
question for you. So that's a kind of a quick little thing. So you offer was at 525. How did you negotiate to get him down to 517?
So after a home inspection.
Okay.
So what was neat is I'm again, remember, I'm new to Atlanta. So normally when someone's new to a city, they just start Googling stuff, right? But instead, I just called the network. I said, "Hey, I'm moving to this city, and do you know a property inspector that's reliable?" And so he showed up, and he goes, "Oh, you just got to do this and this. This is a solid house, but push back on these few things." And so they did, and they gave us that little $7,000, $8,000 concession for a $400 home inspection. I mean,
Good return on investment.
yeah, exactly. And come to find out, because I started telling that guy what a great thing Renatus has done in my life. And he turns and smiles at me and goes, "Did you just say Renatus?" I was like, "Yeah, man, isn't it awesome? What I've been telling you." He goes, "I'm a Renatus member." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, I've been in for like 8 years. I did my first short sale, then I did this and that and that. Now I got duplexes, and I just love home inspection. So I just use the principles here in my home inspection business." Isn't that interesting? So, we had that extra bit of trust and rapport built there. And so, not to say he did any less or good of a job than he other would have, but he ended up giving me a discount just because I was part of the team. So anyway, this is a now remember, you got to look at the eyes through the eyes of the buyer's appraiser and the lender's appraiser on your end product. Okay. So, so for a $1 million neighborhood, and we just paid $500,000 for a house, and 2 years from now, by the time we do all the rehab and everything, it'll be 1.1, 1.2 million. So you got to be thinking, who's the kind of person who's going to move into that kind of house? And I also have to be thinking about how is it going to pay for itself while I'm fixing it. Okay. So this house was built in 1958. The guy I bought it off of was the second owner, so I'm now the third owner. He had it for 40 years, and he actually didn't live in it. It was vacant for so long. He'd come by once a week. Utilities stayed on. It was like a time capsule from 1970. It was awesome. It's an American classic with very low miles. So we jumped on it, and all right. So it's a rectangle floor plan, and it's a same square footage up and down, and then all of the mechanicals are in the crawl space, so every bit of square footage is usable. Okay, and that factors into our ARV in dollars per square foot and how we can hit our numbers. So each floor is 1,550 square feet. So that's 3,100 square foot house. Now we paid 517 on just the upstairs because the basement's unfinished, and so it doesn't count. It only livable space counts in your appraisal. Okay, so 517 on 1550. If I remember correctly, I think it's 383 dollars a square foot. Let me just pull it up real quick. 15 and 3, no, 517 divided by 1550, $333 a square foot. So I buy it for 333 a square foot. So in essence, I'm making my own comp too, right? Or like, so I paid it. We look around and we're like, yeah, this is the price per square foot is totally normal. Now here's what's interesting too. You got to remember, if you're going to make your basement into livable, qualified to be appraised square footage, it has to have a 7-foot ceiling in the basement in order for it to count as full living space. Otherwise, they're going to dock it 30%. The most you would ever get on a finished basement, if it doesn't have 7-foot ceilings, is only 70% of the square footage value. So luckily, ours are 7.6. So by the time we do the framing and the drop, we'll be right at 7. So we can get full living space value for the basement once it's done. Something good to know.
So,
all right.
So you're saying that you get more basement square footage is what you're saying. So you got 1,500 second floor, first floor is 1,500. You're talking about a basement for another 1,500.
I don't understand your question.
So you're saying the crawl space you're going to make
Crawl
it
space is under all of that.
under all that. Okay, gotcha. So you're the basement. Got it. Okay. So but yeah, your total 3,100 square feet
for usable housing. So
okay.
Yeah, correct. Now, as I keep hanging out with the appraiser, now you might not understand, but appraisers wield a ridiculous amount of authority. Ridiculous, undue authority. However, it is what it is. We become friends in a few minutes. And you know why? Because I read this book. Y'all got to get the book. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Has anyone read this book? Winning Friends and Influencing People? Man, that book changed my real estate business so drastically. Working at Jiffy Lube, they don't really prep you for intellectual conversations. And all right, so good. There's some endorsements in the chat. You guys got to get that book. Nice.
So let me kind of rein it in here. So you're doing the thing, you're looking at the value, you're kind of doing your analysis. You figure, okay, it could be worth 1.2 million after it's all said and done. It's probably worth 1.2 even right now, but you're saying, okay, hold on to it for 2 years as long as the market's still stable to hold that it's going to be 1.2. But you're buying it from 517. So how do you come up with this? And what about the rehab? Like, how do you come up with the money? And by the way, do you have the address? I can maybe it's like on Zillow. I can kind of like go through some pictures.
Nope. Nope, because I'm living in it, so I'm not going to put the address up.
Oh, you're living in it right now. Okay.
Right. So that's why I'm like, when you said, hey, is it a fix and flip? I was like, kinda.
Okay.
Depends on what month we're looking at it.
It's a live and flip.
It's a live and flip, and what we're gonna do is the basement we're gonna convert into a rental, it's gonna be a non-conforming duplex. But here's what I was saying at the beginning. I have to think about the guy who's going to move his family into a $1.2, $1.5 million house. He doesn't want a mother-in-law basement with a rental. That's not a $1.2 million customer. Okay. They want a movie theater. They want a wet bar. They want a lounge, and they want something extended into a pool barbecue kind of situation. They don't need a mother-in-law rental for side income. You know what I mean? So we have to be thinking about who's the guy that's going to buy it for me. And when I say guy, it's whatever, okay? Anyway, apparently adding on sunrooms is very popular in Georgia and Atlanta. And so as we're hanging out with the appraiser and we're looking at my neighbor, we're in the backyard now, and that neighbor over there, and both of them have enclosed sunrooms. So he says, hey, did you know that if you enclose a sunroom, it has a door to the main living space, it has its own electricity, and it's included in the HVAC system for the house. We can include that as square footage too. I was like, wait a minute. If I put walls on a balcony, I could get $383 a square foot for this thing? Are you guys hearing what I'm saying? You go make a deck. Okay, we're gonna go put a 12 by 20 deck on the back and make sure it's got its own HVAC. It's connected to the house. It's got its own power. What's 12 by 20? 240 square feet. 240 square feet times 383 square foot. What's that putting it at? $50,000 add-on in value for one more room. Oh,
Yeah,
see,
about
I
84,000.
needed to carry the one on that. Yeah, exactly. So the question is, can we add on a 220 square foot enclosed deck for less than 84 grand? You guys think we could do that? I think we could do that. So there's another bonus. And that'll be on the top floor, and then underneath will be a covered deck that you can walk out to of your luxurious basement with the movie theater and everything else in there. So now we could have a potentially 3,320 square foot house, because they'll count that balcony as actual living space if we hit that criteria. So now what we're going to do, the basement's completely open, perfect canvas to get to work. So we're going to build the basement as the end product, millionaire man, $1 million house basement, but it's going to function as a rental. It's going to have all the elements of a standalone house, but it's not going to be marketed or advertised as like its own unit. Does that make sense? Because that's not the demographic. That's not the customer we're after. So that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to rehab the basement now. Okay, that's what we're in the middle of right now. And then once that's done, I'm going to move into it because it's a complete house. And then we'll rehab the top to match the bottom. And then I will rent out the top. Okay, until we hit the 2-year mark.
So this is like a multi thing where not only are you be able to get your appreciation, but also you get some cash flow along the way.
Exactly.
Let's kind of bring it in here though. How are you buying this property? What kind of funds are you using to be able to close on this house?
So we used a HELOC, and I didn't want to tie up 500 grand on my credit. Okay. So what I did, fascinating process. I don't want to use my credit. My credit's fine. I just want to save it for like a cherry deal, something. And this is just a regular thing to me. So I want to save it. So I call a friend and I say, hey, could you use my HELOC as a down payment for a house that you could buy that I could buy off of you on seller financing? Did you catch that? If you don't know how to ask that question, you will never get the answer.
So in other words, you had somebody else come in with their own money ultimately to buy the property for you so that somebody else becomes a bank, not some institutional bank. Somebody else, but you come in with the HELOC. So you bought it with the HELOC, and then somebody else comes in and replaces your HELOC money. By the way, HELOC, for those of you who don't know, it stands for Home Equity Line of Credit. So a lot of people who purchased homes up until the last couple of years ago, you might have some equity. Michael Huggins, he has a lot like property that he bought maybe 5+ years ago. So he's got deep, thick, equity. And somebody he's able to recycle into doing something amazing like this.
Yep.
So in other words, this money didn't really come from you. It came from your property. It came from somebody else who wants a good deal, and you just kind of orchestrate the thing so that you don't come out of pocket to be able to even do this.
Yeah, I came out of pocket zero of my own dollars on this. Now the HELOC was connected to my credit. Okay. So we're clear on that. I had the credit with an asset-backed loan or a line with the HELOC, but that's still the bank's money. That's not my money. So I'm still zero out of pocket to buy this $500,000 house in a fantastic part of an incredible metropolis in our country. And this place is screaming. 2,000 people a week have been moving to Atlanta the last 4 years. That's over 100,000 people a year. Just keep moving in, moving in, moving in. So it's incredible. It's growing.
Wow.
And so here's the other part. So because we moved out of the cabin in Tennessee, it's now vacant. We make that a short-term rental because a rental in a rural part of Tennessee may be $1,000 a month. Short-term rental, $4,000 a month. 400% increase in income if I just do vacation rental instead of regular rental. So that income is making the payment on this house. Okay. And then when we finish the rehab on the basement and then move, we'll rehab the top and rent that out. And that payment or that income will make the payment on the cabin. So each one is going to pay for itself. And
I love that. I love that. So this is actually important, guys. This is basically, I'm just going to do this real quick.
Yeah. So my cabin has a payment of $2,000 a month and an income of $4,000 a month.
Okay. So instead of this, so you have money, you want to get the thing, right? Instead of doing that,
man, I really do like things though. Instead of doing the money to do the thing, you do the money to
do the money to get the thing that gets you another asset that'll get you more money. Kind of seems like,
yeah, buddy.
What you got going? That's awesome.
Exactly.
So do what you want.
Yeah, exactly. So each one's going to feed itself. So the cabin is 2 out and 4 in, and the Atlanta house is 4 out and 2 in. So if average management occurs, and if we do excellent management, we'll make more. But just average management occurs, I get a free place to live in a $500,000 house in one of the best neighborhoods in Atlanta.
Yeah. And so, by the way, the question is like, what if you don't have a HELOC? That's completely fine. There's still money everywhere. And so Michael Cousins had a really good business proposition in this case. And so, yes, you don't have HELOC, and I'll show you some if we have time here, some of the different ways that people have come up with funds in order to not just to do real estate as well as be a part of our community. And so, but HELOC is one powerful tool to be able to do that.
And I used that HELOC before buying this house to pay off a 10-acre piece of land that I had a barn on. So now I got 10 acres and a barn free and clear that's worth like 150,000. But I used that HELOC strategy that Tim's going to tell you about to get that paid off. And man, it feels so nice to have some paid off property.
Okay, so just
on property, but you know that.
So let me just go into this because we are kind of squeezing here on the time here. So the money, do you know how much it's going to cost? Like, what are your monthly payments going to be on this property?
It's going to be about $4,000 a month, and the rehab total. So the upstairs, the downstairs, and the add-on is going to be.
No. Hold on.
Okay.
Before you kind of say that, so you already said that upstairs, downstairs, add-on. What do you guys feel like on a property like this that's in $1 million community? How much is that rehab going to be to make that work? How much do you think that is going to be? That's completely everything. You're putting in new plumbing, Michael, everywhere.
Everything.
New plumbing, new electrical.
Yeah. They're from 1958. They're the cloth wires, dude. They're actually illegal now.
Okay, illegal. Yeah. So that you got to replace all of that.
Everything.
What about the roofing? You got to replace the roof?
We're going to have to replace the roof so that the add-on has the same roof line. Now, we may not. We got one more architect who's gonna come over. We may just do a step down into the add-on, and we could continue the roof pitch and not have to change that one part.
Okay, so let me just make sure here, 4,000, 10, 48,000, right?
Yep, 48,000
That's a year,
for the year. And remember, I'm
year.
gonna live there for 2 years.
Right, so yeah, so that's 96,000 for
Correct.
2 years roughly.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is important. Now, let's see what's gonna happen though. You said that you are renting out your cabin for $4,000 a month?
Correct. On short-term rental. And it's not 96 per year, that's 96 total.
Oh, total, sorry, yeah, total. Okay, so $4,000, we already know it's gonna be, so 4,000 to 4,000, it cancels each other out. So basically you're living there for effectively free because you've got this
dude.
asset, that's paying for you where you're at.
Yes, exactly. And so
Awesome.
we get the neighborhood we wanted. We get the school for the kids we wanted. My house is 7 minutes from the new office. And so yeah, man, the whole idea was how can I have an essentially $1 million house for free? Not for free.
Okay, so
No cost.
yeah, without cost. What do you call it? Net zero, like everybody likes to call it. Well, how do you do net zero? This is net zero. So, but what about your HELOC money, like your rehab money? By the way, the question is, did anybody answer? Let's see if anybody answered it to how much do you think? Not yet. Guys, put in the chat. Let me know. How much do you think this rehab is going to be? A whole house full, $1 million in a $1 million community in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's going to be a 6-bed, 4-bath, 2-kitchen house. 6-bed, 4-bath, 2-kitchen.
Are you adding other bathrooms?
Yeah, there'll be 2 downstairs. So it'll be
You're
a
adding 2 bathrooms. You're adding 2 bathrooms. Okay,
Mhm.
You're also adding a whole bathroom. He's making a whole sunroom on the outside.
Yep.
Isn't that it's not called a sunroom? Isn't it called something else? It's called like a mezzanine. Mezzanine.
Not a mezzanine. That's not enclosed. A mezzanine is
Okay.
3 walls.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, we got our first one. Jaimila says 400,000. We got Adana says 3.5 million.
Okay,
Maybe
Donna did not understand the
350,000.
question. Donna, the question is, in order to rehab this
Rehab.
3,300 square foot house completely top to bottom, what would we spend?
Yeah, what's the rehab budget? So Jaimila says 400,000. That's a good thick budget. All right, Becky says 500,000. 250,000, Theo. Donna, hey, no worries, Donna. You're
Yeah,
doing
this is
great.
the place to
Thanks for
be.
answering.
No.
Tamara says 70,000. Okay, that's a good one too. Okay, Valerie, 400 to 500,000. Anybody
Joe,
close?
90?
Joseph says 90,000. Anybody close?
No. I mean,
No.
sort we are planning on a $200,000 rehab.
200,000. 200,000. Yeah, so we got pretty high and pretty low, and that's okay because yes, it's $1 million home. It's a lot to do. 200,000. That's actually a pretty. And what I do, because I've done a lot of rehabs like that, and yeah, 200,000 is not that bad. It's
Yeah,
it's
no,
not
we
too
were
shabby.
looking at 150 when we like put a pencil to it, 150, but we are not fooling ourselves. Okay, it's gonna go over ideal time and ideal budget. So let's just make it 200, and then we don't have to freak out as things happen.
Now, are you also counting holding costs as well? Like, by the way, where is that 200,000 going to come from? Is that also coming from your HELOC?
No, this is gonna be coming from my marketing business.
Okay, so you got something else where this money is coming from to be able to pay for that.
Right, and remember, I'm giving myself 2 years to do this. It's not a traditional
Yeah.
fix and flip where time is against you. Right, I can take my time with this. If I don't have to rush that next contractor to get the thing, and so holding costs is going to be about $1,000 a month. So for the 2 years, throw in another 25,000 for holding, and then we have, for all the monthly payments for those 2 years is going to be about 100,000. So we got the 200, the 25, the 100 for payments.
Yeah. Okay, and then let's go here and look at selling.
Now remember, we're
Let, and,
100 out for the payments, but the other property is paying for it. So this is, I'm not an accountant, so this would be an accounting question of where do I put that $96,000 expense?
yeah, and by the way, so we can look at this a couple ways. One way, we're looking at Michael Huggins long term. He's going to be in here. He's a successful person. He's able to kind of come up with the funds to be able to do this because of what he's built. But for somebody else who, it's a lay person who are just getting started on this, if you were to pick this up, you do the same thing. You were able to pick it up for 517, maybe 525. We're going to go through it and I'll show you kind of what the numbers are going to look like. But if we need to do that as well, so you can
Sure.
kind of see how do you do
And
$1 million home.
yeah, and Donna, just so we're clear, if I didn't have a business that I could take the profit out of to pay for this, I would just go borrow it. I would get a partner lender situation and put them on as a lien holder on the deed to protect their $200,000 so that they could charge me a little bit less and I'd just borrow their money to fix the house. And they would know that if I didn't pay them back, they could confiscate the $1 million house from me. So there are other ways to do it in these same
Yep.
numbers and still
Yep.
make it work.
Yeah, because I've done it where, and I do that even now, like where I'm borrowing fund, like where I take a person with private money who has some funds and they're like looking for a way so they can make more money. And so I say, you know what? Let me give you 10, 12% interest. Give me 200K. It'll be locked to this property. You will get paid on the back end when I refinance this home. So you're going to be making good money. And there are some people who like say, you know what? I like that. Let's do it. And then they do that. And so when I close and I sell the property, they get their original 200K back and also others. And there's a lot of people who are willing to do that to the right people who know that, who have their stuff together. A lot
Exactly.
of people.
That's what pays to show up to these trainings and learn this creative language and
Yep.
understand how to keep people's money safe. So those of you who are attending another one, well done. Keep it up. We have 49 more of these planned this year. So
Yeah, right. So
okay.
okay, selling costs real quick. So if you when you would sell this, or you're looking at maybe doing a 5% realtor fee and then maybe
Oh yeah, I am totally happy with paying realtors full commission to go do their job. And we will be clear that they have a job. They will be flyering the neighborhood. They will be having giant open houses. They will be stuffing mailboxes with quality, color, full page flyers about this property. I mean, they're gonna get their full 6%, but they're gonna use some of that for their own marketing. And so I want a top-notch person. And something that I was taught a long time ago about that is if you have a realtor that you're working with and they are a buyer and a listing agent realtor, they're not great at either. They're just good. They're just good. That's fine.
so
They're good. But how can you
we're
be
gonna do this.
anyway? Yeah.
So 1% attorney. I mean, so in Georgia, you don't close with title company, you actually close with a real estate attorney at a real
Correct.
estate attorney's office. It's really odd because usually in Utah, I'm used to signing the paperwork. I could be here in Japan, sign some paperwork, just do like like over docu or on over the do it through video. Over
Yeah.
there in Georgia, you got to be in the corner. You're looking at your buyers and sellers right in the eyes. You're spitting on your hand and you're shaking their hand. And it's uncomfortable to be like in the same room when you're like, hey, I just got a super sweet low deal. You gave me a super low offer on this property. I appreciate it. And you're still like, you're shaking hands. You're waiting for the wires to come in. You close, and when you walk out of that room, you have deed to the property.
Yep.
And so that's very interesting. But I would say, would you say, let me know if in your analysis was about 1% in the fees in terms of when you sell it, or is it cheaper, higher?
It's
I
definitely
think
cheaper. It's into like the $500 to $1,500 range for these attorneys. It's not very much.
Oh, okay, so I'm just gonna do that then. Okay, so the selling cost 5%. We'll say 5% is a realtor.
Yeah, I'm gonna spend
List
more
with this up.
on like electricity in a year than on the attorney's fee to close.
So realtor 5%. And are we going to use 1.2?
Let's do the math. It's going to be a 3,300 square foot house. And let's just use the dollars per square foot that I bought it from, not even factoring in inflation or appreciation, just what I paid for using that same square footage on the rehab house. So what's that number, folks? Are you following along with the numbers?
That's a good payday for a realtor. Dude, you know what? For you, Michael, I will go ahead and get my Georgia realtor's license and I'd be happy to list this property for you.
Awesome.
That is amazing. Look at that. Okay, so the realtor is going to get a good payday, $60,000 off of that. And then like you said, the attorney, max is probably getting about $1,500 on that one. And like the money, now you said that now, okay, yeah. So the only
The
difference is going to
$100,000 monthly payment over the 2 years is being paid for by the cabin.
the 100,000. Wait, say that again.
I have $100,000 in payments over 2 years, right? 4,000 a month.
Oh, yeah.
24,
So,
but that 100,000 is getting covered by the other asset.
right. So, okay. So in this case, what you're looking at, we're just going to hurry and do this thing as we're kind of running close on time. $2,000 rehab, 24,000 in holding. No, we are saying 0 here just because of that, but I'm going to do it in 2 ways. This is number 1. Michael Huggins, what's he looking to do? Let's do the math real quick. $517 plus 200 plus 24 plus 60 plus 1.5. So that we're looking at 802. 5. Okay, this is a total out. Now, if we do that and minus that by 1, 2, yeah, right there. And we're flip the number plus and minus. You are looking at making a potential plus or minus $400,000 in 2
Right.
years.
So even if my rehab budget goes over by $100,000 and my ARV, I have to, take a $100,000 offer less.
You got some wiggle room.
I got some wiggle room. And folks, one little detail, if you live in a house for 2 years as your primary residence and then you sell it, what percentage of capital gains tax do you pay? 0. So all the money that's coming to me, I get to keep 100% of it. And then what I'll do is I'll go buy some more farmland so that I can do carry forward losses indefinitely on homestead exemptions. So Mike's heard me say this before, but we like to call this the multi-dimensional benefit stack. Guys, there's so many benefits and in so many dimensions of your life when it comes to life, insurance and taxes and banking and asset protection and trust and credit, all that stuff. You can get benefits in each one of those categories from just doing one thing. So
that is awesome. So, yeah. Michael, this is awesome. So $400,000, and that's like basically $200,000 a year job. Ultimately, for 2 years, you live in his home for ultimately free.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to switch this up. Now, what if you were to go into this deal? You have backers who are willing to do the property. It's a bigger home, but let's say it still takes you about 6 months to do, 4 months to fix it up, 2 months to sell it. Money cost on that one, you're going to have to borrow this one plus this. So that's about $700,000. Or 700.
Yep.
Let's even round up to 700,000. Okay. Yep. So your holding costs are going to be cheaper too. Now you got $1,000 times 6. So that's 6,000 holding costs. Okay. So I just wanted to show you guys this. Okay. 600,000. So this is me, who just a beginner finds his home and says, or maybe you got some in your belt, or you're partnering with somebody who knows what they're doing. and says, okay, let's go and do this property. So I would find somebody, most likely I would be paying, let's say 12% annually APY and 2 points, which is about a 2% flat fee. And so this would go to,
On
if I borrow
700,000.
700, well, let's say yeah, 750.
Round up,
Let's see,
baby.
is that round up? I'd rather get, let's say 725. Let's say 725. Okay, so 2 points, that's $7,025 times two. So this, the cost to use the money is going to be 14,500.
Just on points.
Yeah, just some points. And you've got 725 times it by 0.12 equals 87,000 divided by 2, because it's only for 6 months. So 43,500
Just
plus
on
14,
interest.
5, 58. So you are looking at $58,000 in interest.
If I weren't using my own HELOC, correct?
If you were not using your own HELOC, this is like you going in, finding a hard money lender and a private money lender, and you're giving them an awesome rate of return on their $725,000 loan, giving a great, that's an interest. But by the way, this is basically telling them this is like a is it 16% average APY. That's great. That's a huge rate of return. That's a great rate of return for somebody. How many people are getting 16% in their checking account or in their savings account? Okay, and then your holding costs here. Now let's redo the numbers here.
And
They're
see,
basically
that Devendra says, "What's the profit time span?" For me, it's a 2-year period, so that I can activate that capital gains tax exemption. If it's your primary residence and you've lived there 2 out of the last 5 years, you don't pay any taxes on your gains when you sell it. So I got to hit that 2-year mark. 730 days.
So this is what it would change. It just basically it would change by $40,000 more. It'd be $40,000 more because now the money here, the only things change is the holding cost because he's holding it shorter, and the money he would actually have to add in the money here. And when I find my lenders, I make sure, and this is all depends, but I personally, when I'm working on 17 deals, I want to work with lenders who are willing to wait until the property closes in order to when they get paid. So I want to stick all my money into the property and not have to worry about monthly payments. And so that's kind of how I usually like to do. So I really am effectively not coming out of pocket at all on any of my deals.
Yeah,
Guys,
it's amazing.
And so with that 842, 1.2, let me just do this part right here, a minus 1,200 because we took out 3 zeros. Okay, now you in 6, this is, and by the way, you actually get a better rate of return this way too. Now you're making over $350,000.
If I didn't move into it and we just went slamming as fast as we possibly could, then yeah, we could jam out a huge profit. But that's the thing, folks. That's not my business. My business isn't fix and flips. Mine is rentals and then the commercial conversion stuff that we're doing. This is just a way I found to live in a house I want to live in and get it for no money out of pocket. And then when I sell it, make money.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, this is something that's so easy. Kind of going into our other part as well. I'm just going to show you just a quick slide here. So this is my first property that I ever owned that I bought on $12 an hour salary. Now, this was also back in 2013. But I bought this home and I rented out the basement, and then using a bunch of the Renata strategies that I've learned on here, all highlighted in blue. By the way, I need to update this because it's no longer 90 powerful courses. It's more than that. I picked up a fourplex here. This is a duplex. And both of these duplexes are not only paying for each other, they're also made so I could live in this house where I've got 5 kids. And where I've got 5 children, a wife, 5 kids. And this is a nice big 3,000 square foot home, 5-bedroom, 4-bath, and I made it to a 6-bedroom now.
Nice.
And everything is paying for each other. And it's a smaller level. Michael's, this is awesome. Now, this is not $1 million home, although, my wife has been talking to me and saying, What's our next move? When can we move out and do something different? And so, Michael, I might be heading your way sometime soon. We'll have to see. Because my wife doesn't like she's ready. She's restless. She's tired of being it. So um guys, it's not just about like, okay, where it's not one thing that I love about this community that's not just about doing tips and tricks, finding the next deal and hustling, going from one property to the next property to the next property. It's about how do I become a real estate investor and help other people and orchestrate these deals where I'm not only making other people money, I'm creating win scenarios for everyone, but I'm also making it good for me and my family and for my future. And you cannot do that if you're not surrounded by the right people. You cannot do that if you don't not surrounded by the correct information. And you can't do that if you're not following the right systems. And so that's where, for me, where Renatus came in for me. And just to tell you, with everything that Renatus has, by the way, here's kind of the things that I loved about it. It's right here. So in Renatus, you're not only surrounded by like-minded individuals, but you do get the key relationships because you are surrounded there, but you also get daily support. If you're kind of worried about, okay, how do I go and do this for everybody who is in a feels alone? This is for you because you're not alone in what you hear. Not only do you have daily support calls and study groups, we also have weekly house tours like these, monthly workshops, and also we have our private Facebook where it can help you. And also there are live events where you can show up in person and kind of rub shoulders with other people. This is not a extensive list, but this is just these are just some of the bigger ones that are around the country that I know of. And just to show you in terms of what Renatus is, there's three different things. There's essentials, profits, and extreme plus. And essentials is basically what you need to be able to get the very minimum foundation so that you not only like get yourself set up tax wise, make sure you have the right entities, what to expect when you're going through a walkthroughs. Make sure you're not buying a lemon. So it helps you the foundation in terms of what real estate principles you need, as well as personally, even your credit. How do you get your credit in order? And by the way, Renatus, we have a group that will help you for free on credit repair. If that's kind of where you're at and where you start, you know what? Let's get that in order. Because that you can really bank and make a lot of money from just your credit. It helps you out a lot. And also profits for anybody who has a business, or looking to make it more of a streamlined business, create systems in place. These are taught by really top-notch entrepreneurs and business owners. Profits is for you. And also AI Extreme Plus, that's everything real estate. We have 14 tracks of different real estate strategies. That's, wholesales, fix and flips, of course, short-term rentals, Airbnbs, and taught by people and more, of course, and a lot more, and commercial, by people who are actively doing real estate. They're basically taught by entrepreneurs and really successful businessmen who are kind of giving you the ins and outs of how to do the strategies, how they made the money they wish they made. So what better to be able to be successful in business by people who are actively doing the strategies they're teaching. I'm starting to spit because I'm getting all excited about it. So for that, just to tell you, for all these tracks, by the way, in terms of going into, there's prices in it. These are the cash totals right here. It's essentials is 24, profits is this, and extreme plus is about a little over 20 grand. So total for all three of those, a one-time cash discount is just under 26 grand to get everything. And I don't even tell you, but it also says over here, it says 12, it says life, not that one. Oh shoot, I can't delete that one. It is lifetime access. So if they update classes, you get the classes. So again, that's what I love. For me, this is my real estate college. It's how I learn what I need to learn, especially active information. So I love it. And what better, by the way, there are deals where you could lose, like Michael Huggins, if something bad were to happen to this market, perhaps he could lose a lot of money. Anybody could lose a lot of money. And so the way that he created this, where he created a strategy where it's ultimately recession proof, and he has some great great things. Why is that not going away?
That's what I'm saying, guys. Multidimensional thinking is something you get here. We're not taught that in the K through 12 model that we all went through.
Yeah. So here's finding the money, by the way. So maybe you already have cash or you have some credit cards, or maybe you can apply for some credit cards that give you 0% interest. That's how I actually funded it. Some people already have retirement funds or know people with retirement funds like 401ks, and would like to get a good interest rate. If it's an active 401k, did you know you can actually invest in real estate and actually buy rental properties with retirement accounts? Pretty amazing. Like Michael Huggins said, there's HELOC money. We already talked private funding, private funding, private money. People already have money. You get to give it like give them a business proposal. Life insurance policy. Some of them have cash ones where you can actually take an advance from it, and also funding assessment. So from Anonymous, you can. Oh no, yeah, from one of the people who can kind of help you find the money in terms of different places, as well as there's in-house billing for as little as 20% down and monthly payments for like the next 3 years. You can actually get in at a pretty affordable price. So that's kind of where that is in terms of with the Renatus part, or with in terms of getting in. And one thing that I love about this is you're not just paying for information; you're investing in implementation. So you are being surrounded, like I keep on saying it, by by the like-minded people who know what they're doing, and you can rub shoulders with. Maybe they become your partners, maybe they become your lenders, maybe they help you fix your houses. Um, and as well as being surrounded by the systems, people who follow the same systems as you are learning, so that you have peace of mind that the person you're following is actually doing, or the people that you either for yourself and the people around you, that you are actually a good ethical person who knows what they're doing, and you're out there to do the right thing and not just in there to hurt other people. So here's the website, myrenatus.com. Go to it, and they can kind of break down more about the education by clicking on that tab up there, education tab, myrenatus.com. And to look further in. So Michael, let me go back to you real quick. Again, I appreciate you coming in. Can you tell people on here, I wanted to kind of wheel it in back into this thing, by the way, $350,000 profit as a 6-month rehab is an amazing, amazing feat. And I applaud you for that. That is awesome. If you were to give any bit of advice to somebody on here on what they can do, on like kind of what they can do, where they need to start or something like that, yeah, just one bit of advice, one thing, what would you tell them that would help these out?
All right, I'm actually gonna make it two things. That's okay. First one is something I tell my son every day: never look up to or down on anybody. Okay, looking up to and looking down on thing is what hurts relationships, and you need more relationships in your life if you're gonna excel to the higher status in life. So never look down and never look up to or on anyone. Okay, we're all just people. The second thing is, I can phrase it a couple different ways. Stop doing what poor people do. That's it. That's what changed my life. I didn't know what rich people did, but it was obvious to me what poor people were doing. So I stopped doing that. I stopped complaining. I stopped blaming. I stopped thinking I was a victim. I stopped hoping. And I started working. I stopped watching TV. I stopped playing video games. I just took control of my time instead of letting other people take my time. And couldn't you replace the word time with life? Can you think of a sentence where life and time don't allow for being interchangeable?
It's true. I'm going to take your time from you right now. That's true.
Right. His time is up. His life is up. Right. He ran out of time.
Michael.
He ran out of life. So anyway, honor your time, folks. That's what it was for me. And I take life seriously. So thank you, everyone, for the support. I know there's people working behind the scenes that don't get all the credit that they deserve. And so I want to applaud and thank all the volunteers behind the scenes for creating opportunities, opening doors for us, literally and figuratively. Folks, this place, this Renatus community is so much bigger than you can understand inside of a 1 hour webinar. And so I'm hoping to meet you guys. Come to our office in Atlanta if you want to come check it out. We also have offices all over the country. So plug in, folks. And that's what I did, and that's why it worked. So
Okay, Michael, again, thank you so much for your time. Guys, thank you so much for joining. Your next step, talk to the person who invited you, and they'll let you know, and get some questions answered, and invite them, and then they'll probably have something else for you to go on to, which is our next meeting, which it changes based on the person that's invited you on. So let them know what your next steps is. Just, put on your calendar next week, same time.